We are going to discuss healthcare auditing and revenue optimization, and really how you can become an all-star in your role along that revenue cycle continuum. Today's webinar is sponsored by MDaudit. MDaudit is a leading premier SaaS-based platform in the revenue integrity and billing compliance space. We work with over 150 clients across the country, really helping them bolster their billing compliance and revenue integrity programs. Every way up from the highest, largest academic medical centers in the country down to smaller community hospitals and really everything in between. So we promise you today that you're going to have a great time, and we're going to send you home with some really good insights. My name is Dana Finnegan. I'm going to be presenting to you today. I'm the Director of Market Strategy at MDaudit. Quick kind of housekeeping items is that you are going to be receiving the deck that we are going through today. After the webinar, you'll be receiving the recording as well. And there's also going to be a short poll at the end just to see what other topics you may want to discuss in future webinars. And if there's any questions, please enter them into the chat, and we will make sure to address those. So the first thing we really want to talk about is, why are you not an all-star today? I mean, many of you are working so hard. The way we really define revenue integrity at MDaudit is it's this trifecta here. We want you to be able to not only bill compliantly, you can see that on the right-hand side, but we also want you to have optimal reimbursement and revenue recognition. And many of us are billing compliantly at the end of the day and optimizing that reimbursement due to us. But the bottom quadrant there is where we're struggling, is we're not operationally efficient. Really what we're going to do today is show you technology that can help you become that all-star. And we're going to have a short demonstration to show you whether you're in billing compliance, revenue integrity, revenue cycle, coding and HIM, how you can use technology and a platform to become an all-star. Really where I want to go here, and you'll get this whole deck though, is to talk through what a modern revenue integrity platform is and what it does, and really how, again, it can make you that all-star. So what you're seeing here, if you read from the bottom up, is that really everybody below there, whether you're on the coding team at the central billing office, you're doing payer management or revenue management, you're in billing compliance, whether it's professional billing or hospital billing, coding and HIM, all of you are part of that revenue cycle and revenue integrity continuum, and everybody has a really important role. Now, any modern platform, and we're going to show you one today, the MDaudit platform, has the ability to take everybody along that continuum and help them collaborate and work cross-functionally. And the reason why that's so important is because you need to form, as an organization, a united front so you can fight the good fight against the payers and others that are trying to give you those shrinking reimbursements. We want to give you the tools to remain in the driver's seat and have optimal outcomes. So not only should a platform be allowed to work cross-functionally, but this other piece of that is to have a united data foundation. And all that means, it sounds fancy, all it means is that all of you along that continuum should be working from the same data, meaning, what insights do I have into my 837s, my 835s, my claims data, my remittance data? You want to all be working from that same data and passing to each other insights that you see. Now, along with that collaborative effect, you also want that platform to really be driven by AI and continuous risk monitoring. We call it CRM for RCM, continuous risk monitoring for revenue cycle management, meaning a platform should very easily be able to ingest your data on a daily basis, crunch it and make it consumable for you, so you know root cause of denial. You know which providers are not coding appropriately, which coders are not coding appropriately, and so on. A platform that can toss that right out to you so you can take action. Now, the last piece of that is once those insights are given to you, you need workflows where you can immediately access those at-risk claims and correct things. So you're recognizing better first pass pay rates and less days in AR, and again, billing compliantly. And at the very top is what you will be able to get from a modern platform that brings all of you together. You'll capture more revenue. You'll mitigate billing compliance risk. You'll certainly gain productivity in your daily lives, and you'll be able to manage your payers instead of them managing you. So at the end of the day, you'll be getting this deck and all, but we want to say there's very few platforms out there that can do all of that at the same time and scale up to, as you're receiving thousands and thousands of remittance advices and sending out thousands and thousands of claims a day. This MDaudit platform can help you, again, become that all-star. So what I want to do right now, folks, is really jump into the platform and point out some really simple use cases of how that all works. So I think what you're looking at right now is probably our best, one of our billing compliance use cases. Many of you are asked to audit each one of your providers once a year and then go and educate them. That has become an impossible task. There's just too many providers, there's too many other things on your plate, and you need immediate insights to point you in the right direction. So let's take a look at this E&M outliers bubble chart. And really what MDaudit can help you do is instead of looking at all of your providers along this continuum, and this represents about 1,500 providers, we want to remove the middle in here, because the middle are really those providers that are coding their E&Ms appropriately. They're leveled appropriately. We don't want you to spend time here auditing. It's largely a waste of time in the sense that you're not going to find outliers. What we want to do is isolate the lower left where there's habitual undercoding going on and loss of revenue. And we also want to isolate the upper right where there's habitual overcoding going on that's making you susceptible to risk, clawbacks, CBR letters, all of that. We don't want you to have to deal with that mess. So what we're able to do, and we're going to show you this right now, is through benchmarking, you can compare your providers to what CMS considers normal E&M leveling patterns by specialty. You're also able to use MDaudit National, which is comparing your providers to all of the other providers that are being audited on our platform. And you can see when you choose MDaudit National, you can go and look at certain payers, even down to payer mix. You can get down to MAC processing region. There's a lot that you can do. We are really the only platform in this space that offers both of those benchmarks. CMS doesn't update their data as much as we would like, so you would be very well suited to compare yourself to the MDaudit community. But again, let's show you how we remove that middle. I can go in and choose any E&M category I want. I'll choose established patient. I can then put in a specialty. Do I want to look at derm or emergency medicine? Let's look at internal medicine. And then within internal medicine, I am going to go into, let's choose gastroenterology. And in just a few clicks, what I've done is remove the middle and isolated my habitual undercoder down here. Very large bubble, a lot of undercoding going on. But I've also found a habitual overcoder, smaller bubble, so not as many E&Ms going out that are overcoded, but someone I still want to audit. And what's nice about this is it's helped you take a risk-based approach, but now I can click on any one of those bubbles and I can go from that bubble to their actual bell curve. And what MDaudit has done is basically said, hey, look, you provider, this is the outlier MDaudit's found because almost 100%, 92% of all of their established visits are going out as this level 3. That is just off the charts. Almost 100% is a level 3. This line down here, the 54%, that could be the internal benchmark at your organization. We can say, compared to all of the other gastroenterologists in your organization, they're only doing that 54% of the time. And this blue in the back, MDaudit, you can also change it to CMS, but MDaudit is saying gastroenterologists within the MDaudit community are only doing that about 44% of the time. So it's very easy for you to see that everybody else in that gastro department is doing almost the same amount as the MD audit community, but this provider is not and needs to be audited immediately. So again, if we walk that back, we are going to isolate the 20% of your provider population that's causing almost 100% of that revenue leakage from undercoding and overcoding, exposing you to risk in just a few clicks. That, of course, is going to leave you more time for auditing and education, which is how you make these patterns stop. Now, the other nice piece of this is we take all of the providers that we've identified as overcoding and undercoding, and we place them on what's called a risk areas dashboard. So we will take all of your providers, and these are names you see here in the target column. We've obviously de-identified this, so there's no PHI, but it will list all of your providers that are suspected of heavily overcoding and undercoding, and it will also weight them. That's incredibly important because if you come here and have 20 providers at risk, we know in billing compliance, you only have the bandwidth to maybe see the top 2 or 3. So we also weight them. We're saying, see the number 6s first, audit them first, worry about the 2s and 1s last. It's really a sense of egregiousness. So if I come over here for Dr. Smith, I'm very easily able to go in and look at his information. He is a urologist. He's struggling with the level 4s. He's overcoding them. You remember that, almost 100% of them. And then I can also go and see that it's telling me he's overbilling them. And I can also see how much of total charges have gone out the door, almost $300,000 and $700 per day, huge at-risk amounts going out the door. And that he's 2.0 standard deviations over that normative mean, over that benchmark. I really need to audit this doc. So what MDaudit does is allow you right from here to create an audit. We are the only platform that allows you not only to see who your providers are at risk, but to do what I'm doing right now, create an audit. It will launch you from that analytical risk ranking into a workflow. So I can very easily say, I'm with the coding quality team. I'm going to assign this to myself, Dana. And when I hit continue, this platform, MDaudit, is smart enough to say you need to look at the level 4s. We know that rendering NPI is this number and that he works at this facility. So I don't have to ask IT for claims. I don't have to run reports. I don't have to deal with unwieldy spreadsheets. I can just click this arrow and the system immediately, in a millisecond or less, finds me all of the at-risk claims. I then put in a sample size of 10 or 20, whatever you want. That's very similar to how RatStats does its randomization. And when I click continue and I create an audit, what the system is doing when it's spinning right there is giving me those 10 truly random at-risk claims so I can go in and figure out exactly why that physician is overcoding those level 4s. And it puts it right in front of me so I can go in and agree with that level 4. Maybe the documentation supports those level 4s. Most likely it won't. And if I need to, I can go in and edit that and really do a coding quality review. We're not going to go into this piece of it. What we want you to take away from today is you should, as a billing compliance professional, in order to be an all-star in today's environment, you need to have the risk pointed out to you and also the ability to back right into a workflow or an audit so you can go in and really figure out what's going on with your physician's coding behaviors. But this all starts with those risk-based analytics that you saw. Now, that was a very professional use case. I also want to talk about those that are in billing compliance that are doing it on the facility side. And I'm going to point out what we have right here. This is our ability to look at your PEPA report on a daily basis. We can also interrogate your facility billing to look at what the OIG is scrutinizing. But I want to pay attention to this right here. This is our way of saying, look, you're doing surgical DRGs with CCs and MCCs. And this name down here can be set at the facility level. Many of you have 30, 40 different facilities across regions. This can also be set at the specialty level. But what it's saying is you're doing a lot of surgical procedures with CCs and MCCs, very sick patients, a lot of comorbidities, a lot of cost and resource thrown at these patients. You need to be reimbursed, and you need to be reimbursed at the highest level that you're due and that you're billing compliantly. So what this card is telling me is, hey, you've been billing surgical DRGs with those CCs and MCCs over the last 36 months, about 65% of the time. But over a rolling 12-month average, you've taken a dip down to 63%, which isn't a huge dip. That's an internal benchmark at your organization. Not a huge dip, but when you're dealing with CCs and MCCs in those surgical procedures that may be very high cost, going down even a couple of percentage points could be a huge amount of revenue leakage. So that's an internal benchmark at your organization. But the most important one here you can see is benchmark. Others in the MDaudit community, just like you, only doing that 55% of the time. So this is a perfect flag. Or as you see here, we can set alerts for you saying, you may be overcoding those CCs and MCCs. You want to go in and make sure that they're meeting the highest level of accuracy and integrity. And the only way to do that is to grab a sample size of those claims. And that's where you can go in and explore a metric. You can go in just like we did with the bell curves and see your surgical DRGs with CCs and MCCs. You can see the months in red where you look like you were overbilling them compared to others in the community. You can see what DRGs they're being submitted with, what payers you're submitting them to, even the attending providers on those cases, even the primary diagnoses. But most importantly, down here, I can look at my high dollar charges, my $0 payments, or payments on these and say, I need to go in and take a sample size. But again, I don't want to rely on IT. If I need to rely on IT and use spreadsheets and get all this data manually, I'm going to lose all productivity I've gained at this point from the risk analytics. So I'm going to go in and actually take a sample size of 5 here, and I'm going to create an audit. And again, we will back you into a supporting integrated workflow that will allow you to go in and say, maybe this time you're with HIM, and I'm still going to assign this to Dana. But in a quick click, the system has uploaded those 5 surgical cases with CCs and MCCs. So I can go in, create the audit, and really deem as to whether those CCs and MCCs have met the highest level of accuracy and integrity. And in most cases, I'm going to find, because I've used benchmark and analytics, that I'm overcoding these or I'm undercoding these. But what's beautiful is it's going to give me a view of what went out and show me exactly the CCs and MCCs with visual indicators, so I can go in and either agree with those, edit those, and do a full coding quality review. So folks, really quickly, we just went through high level of billing compliance use cases. Again, you want to be able to talk to your physicians that are outside of normative ranges for their E&M billing and coding. You also want to know from your PEPA report where you're outside of those ranges as well. Whether it's, and we also do this on the outpatient side, but the only way with everything you have going on in limited bandwidth to do this and be an all-star is to have a platform point out where the risk is. That does not minimize the importance of your job, because you will then go in, do a coding quality review, and you will also have the opportunity to educate your physicians because you'll have that extra time. So what I want to do now is shift from the billing compliance PB and HB use case and go into some more of the, let's call it revenue cycle, revenue integrity side of the world. So one of the things we know you're often asked to do is find root cause of denial. So you spend more time, again, with more successful appeals in getting that revenue back, decreasing days in AR and so on. So many of you are struggling manually, but that can be made very easy. So again, you're the all-star. So let's say you've been asked to go in and kind of look at coding and HIM denials, or this could be patient access. It could be credentialing. What you're able to do on our platform is see the spikes and lulls in your denial activity. But if I want to go in and investigate, let's say this spike, I need to use AI. I do not have the time to spend 4 hours figuring out why I have this spike. I don't want to rely on IT, and I don't want to be pulling manual spreadsheets. So I'm going to click on 2 points and run an analysis. This is AI helping me, the revenue integrity professional or the revenue cycle professional, figure out why we've had such a huge spike in coding denials this month. 80% spike, but it's immediately showing me what's causing that significant change in blue. AI has gone through millions of rows of remits and said, well, the number one reason is these are non-covered because they're not deemed a medical necessity by the payer. Okay, now I know it's a medical necessity issue. I want to know who the payer is. So I'm going to click payer, and it's going to tell me there's a couple of payers in my payer mix that are really denying me for med necessity. I then may want to know what facility is that originating at, and it's originating at a couple of my facilities. And what account number? Instead of going through 18,000 values, I know this is the account number affected the most. And then, of course, if I want to know rendering providers who are being denied for med necessity, I know my rendering providers. And finally, we're all going to ask, well, what are the services that are being denied by that payer and for those providers? So I can just say, what were the CPTs? And it's going to tell me that it was this one right here, followed by this one. So again, we won't go through all of this today because it's a high level, but what we want to show you is analytics, AI, when you're a revenue integrity, revenue cycle professional, can really help you, again, be that all-star. Another thing I would show here is conversational AI. We'll provide you with, a host of dashboards, slicing and dicing your denials in a myriad of ways. But we want you to be self-sufficient. Again, being an all-star means you can do things on your own. You're not completely dependent on others on your team. So I'm going to type in a question here. I'm not going to type it in because I don't want to take too much time. Not a great typer, but I'm going to put that in. What facilities had the highest amount of denials last year for med necessity? I don't know how to write queries. I don't know how to write SQL. I just want to ask it in plain English. And what I've done here is ask that, and it spit out all of my facilities and ranking them to who has the highest for med necessity denials, just by asking it in plain English. Again, no Tableau, no SQL, none of that. I don't know how to do that. But now I can go to that top facility and say, okay, you've got a ton of med necessity denials. What payer is doing that the most? Who's dinging us the most? And it's going to drill me down to that top payer. And then I can drill down to whatever else I want, even down to account number or rendering provider or attending provider, a place of service. Again, to be an all-star, let the modern revenue integrity platform consume those millions of remits and give you the immediate insights you need to then go and do better appeals, better readjudications, and so on. That's really where the rubber meets the road, is the ability to go in and have a platform dilute this data so you as the professional, whether billing compliance or revenue integrity rev cycle, can then take this information and correct it. Now, the last thing I kind of want to talk about is we did billing compliance. We did a little bit of rev cycle and rev integrity. Let's talk about the coding and HIM use case. Now, when I talk about coding and HIM, I mean, you need to be able to go in and audit your coders. So, and one of the things you need to be able to do while auditing your coders is also have them take place in a rebuttal. Any modern RI platform, revenue integrity platform, to make you an all-star should engender real-time dialogue between the auditor and the coder. And we're going to show you how that's done. So this is a claim that's gone out on the pro fee side with the diagnoses and the CPTs. We also do this on the facility side, of course, but I can very easily see what was billed, but also the coder that coded it. Our system can match up the claims with who coded them. So if I go in and I say, hey, Jane Smith, the coder, I agree with those diagnosis codes, but you know what? That level 4, after I looked at the documentation, it wasn't a level 4, actually a level 5. So I'm going to go in and say, you coded a level 4. I'm changing it to a level 5. I need to disagree with what you coded there. And then I'm going to put some comments in there for my coder to see. I want Jane to see why I changed that to a level 5 and to respond to me to see if she or he agrees. again, through a rebuttal function. So I'm going to put that in, but I've made some changes. Now I'm going to go and put that in a completed status. And when I do that, the system says, do you want to send this to the coder so they can do a rebuttal? Do you want them to take a look at it? And yes, I do. So I'm going to hit save, and I'm going to close that out. And you'll see now the system has the ability to send that right to the coder that coded this. It will go to the coder so they can do a review and rebuttal. Now, I'm not going to show you what the coder does because we want you to come and see that in a demonstration. But you can come in and see here that level 5. I have a call out bubble that's red. That means the coder has gotten back to me and necessarily hasn't agreed with what I had to do. But again, to see the full spectrum, coder did a level 4. I changed it to a level 5. I said, hi, Jane, please review my changes. Jane came back as the coder and gave me a red thumbs down and said, hey, I still disagree. I can go back and reply. We can continue to have dialogue. What we want you to get out of this as the coding and HIM professional is you should have every ability to audit your coders and talk to them real time. And our MDaudit platform can do that. And when you can have that dialogue real time, you will mitigate issues going forward. Your coder accuracy rates will go through the roof. You'll be able to have more time to educate them. So at the end of the day, folks, this was a very high level view of what a modern revenue integrity platform can do to make you an all-star. Again, whether you're in billing compliance, P or HB, revenue integrity, revenue cycle, coding and HIM, the central billing office, our MDaudit platform can bring you together again, so you're forming a united front against those payers that are trying to shrink your reimbursements and who are obviously at the same time really scrutinizing your billing. So, folks, we appreciate your attendance today. There is going to be a survey at the end, but we welcome you to come and see more. I'm very, very happy. Again, you don't have to see a demonstration if you're not ready to be looking to buy a platform. You can speak to a subject matter expert like myself. We can give you a lot of industry insights and ways to help bolster your program. So don't think we're just going to try to hard sell you. We're also here to help you fight that good fight. So thank you very much for your attendance today.